Gohan, with just taking a step into the school, was already calling the attention of everyone. The girls looked at him like someone cute, and the men were just surprised by his physique, which anyone would kill to have a body like that. The Saiyan did not give importance to the comments, and just dedicated himself to keep advancing, while checking his school supplies and the watch that allowed him to hide his Zanpakuto. Flashback. It was a Sunday night and, after a long day of training the Shinigami, and the Saiyans were preparing for their first day at the academy in the morning. After the sun showered, it was the turn of the girls, and while they were busy, Urahara knocked on the door of the House of the Suns, which they let him in, and saw that he had many papers, and a box in his hands. The ex-captain waited for the girls to finish to show them their assignments at school, and give the Suns an artifact that would allow them to hide their weapons. With everyone in the dining room, the man in the hat spoke. He said that here were the academy papers for Gohan and Rukia. You two will be in the same class. I tell you from now that you may feel some presences stronger than average. Rangaku and Goku, I already registered you as teachers. You lieutenant will be a math teacher while Goku will be a gym teacher. Train the students in the normal way, and not the one from your world. Not everyone is so resistant. Urahara finished saying with a sweat drop, remembering the training methods that the Saiyan told him about from his time when he was a child. The older Saiyan said it would be boring with a pout. The lieutenant said, do not worry. If you get bored with those kids, I can keep you company. She was looking for more opportunities to be with this man who, in a few days, made her feel like she had butterflies in her stomach. He said, well, moving to another topic. In this box are some watches that I created for you too. He said, pointing at both Saiyans. These allow you to hide your swords and the clothes of the Shinigami from human sight, but not from those who can see spirits. In that case, you young ladies will have to erase their memories. End of flashback. Urahara is right. I feel several powerful kiss with spiritual energy. Many are in my classroom, and there is another stronger one that is in another part. The son thought, continuing with his walking. Hey Gohan! A familiar voice said, calling the Saiyan. Upon turning, he sees Rukia with the same uniform with which she trained, only that this time she wore a gray coat, while he wore the male uniform, which consisted of a white shirt without the red bow tie, gray pants, and he did not wear the coat because it was uncomfortable for him. He said, oh hello Rukia, I felt your presence earlier, but what were you doing before coming here? She said she was discussing some things with Lieutenant Matsumoto, and when she finished she decided to look for him so the two of them could go to the classroom. She said it calmly with a small smile. The son said agreed. Let us go then. He went with the girl. On the way, many began to misunderstand the type of relationship they had. They thought they were a couple. This annoyed Rukia, and she told the onlookers that he was not her boyfriend, but upon saying that word she got a little embarrassed, so she decided not to say anything else, until reaching the classroom. The place was not a big deal. The benches to sit on, the windows, and the chalkboard. The teacher had not arrived yet, so everyone in the classroom went to introduce themselves to the new students. Among all those who stood out the most were a boy who was taller than the others, with coffee-colored skin, dark eyes that were covered by his brown hair, and he carried a gold medallion on his neck. This boy went by the simple name of Chad. After him followed a cheerful girl with gray eyes and orange hair who looked like a younger version of Rangaku. This young girl answered to the name of Orihime, and behind her was her best friend Tatsuki, who was a girl with black hair and coffee-colored eyes with a rude attitude in the opinion of the young Saiyan. The cheerful girl said, nice to meet you Gohan. I am Orihime, and this is my friend Tatsuki. I hope we get along well. The son said, me too Orihime. He said it with a smile, causing a slight blush in the girls. He is cute, but I still have not gotten over what happened. The orange-haired girl thought, lowering her gaze. Poor Orihime. She is still sad about what happened to Ichigo. I am the same, but nothing can be done now. Tatsuki thought, looking away. They look sad. I think I should get to know them better to see if I can help them. Gohan thought, but he was pulled from his thoughts when the young brown-haired boy offered his hand. The boy said with a calm voice, I am Chad. Welcome. The Saiyan said, thank you for welcoming me. I am Gohan, and this is my friend Rukia. He accepted the handshake, and in passing introduced the small Shinigami. A voice very well known to the newcomers said, well, the introductions are done. Everyone take a seat. Upon turning everyone to see who the voice belonged to, everyone was surprised. Almost all the men in the classroom were shocked to see a beautiful mature woman with a white skirt, black heels, and a yellow shirt. She wore glasses that covered her gray eyes, and her hair was tied in a ponytail. She said with a calm voice, I am your new math teacher Rangaku Matsumoto, and I will teach from now on for a while. Once the commotion ended, everyone took their seats. Gohan sat near the window surrounded by the people he met. Rukia was behind him. Chad was at the side while Tatsuki and Orihime were in front of him. In class nothing important or relevant happened, but during break the Saiyan got to know these kids better, and at one point, he realized they felt sad when they mentioned an orange-haired boy who died with his mother some time ago. Gohan asked why they were sad. Tatsuki said depressed, remembering the last day she saw him alive. Years ago, a very good friend of ours died along with his mother. Gohan said, I know I never had the pleasure of meeting him, but do not feel bad. Surely he is in a better place, and the last thing he would want is for you to be sad all the time. Tatsuki said with a sad face. He was my friend from the fight club, and although he was a mama boy I miss him. The son said, do not worry. Remembering him always is a way to never forget him. He will live in your hearts, and that is a good thing. After this chat the five of them became friends quickly. Later the bell rang, but before leaving Rangaku was going to introduce someone special to them. She said, well class, before leaving I want to introduce you to someone. If you thought exercise was bad you know nothing. Please come in. From the classroom door emerged a man with spiky hair wearing an orange doji, and with a very marked smile. The older son said with a smile, hello, I am Goku and I will be your trainer. Orihime asked with some surprise seeing the resemblance in hair and smiles. Gohan, is that guy a relative of yours because you look alike? He said laughing a little at the attitude of his father. Yes, he is my dad, the son said with his same smile. Well, in a while I will make you run 20 laps around the school. After you have done that you will do 100 sit-ups and push-ups. This made some students sweat from nervousness. They even thought they saw an evil aura coming from him. The friends of the Saiyan did not seem scared by what was happening, but Gohan and Rukia had anime-style sweat drops from the behavior of the older son, while Rangaku just laughed at the reaction of the students. The small son thought, please dad be kind to them. During the class, no person in that world knew what exercise was until they had Goku as a teacher. Although he did not use the methods of Master Roshi, he gave them enough so that they would have decent physical condition. Almost everyone could not move their legs without it hurting, while Chad and Gohan were as if nothing happened. A boy asked Gohan, who just laughed nervously, how is it possible? I understand Chad can endure it, but you, the son said, making everyone tremble. He. What happens is that I train with him every day in another way much worse than this. Everyone prayed that he would never train them in that way that he mentioned. In the hallway with Goku, the older son thought, wow, these kids are lazy, but that boy Chad, besides enduring, I can feel enormous potential in him. Maybe I will talk to him later, as well as that girl Tatsuki. Both surely can go further. He was pulled from his thoughts when a hurried Rangaku stood in front of him. She said, Goku, hollows have been detected nearby. We have to go. Because of this the mentioned one turned off the device of Urahara, now being in his clothes of Shinigami. After this the lieutenant grabbed the arm of the Saiyan, while he used teleportation to leave. What none of them noticed was that someone saw them, and it was one of the students who had black hair and a serious look. The young man thought, adjusting his glasses and returning to his classroom. Shinigami here in the school. I must be alert. With Goku and Rangaku, both were in a plaza confronting 4 hollows that were after a plus. Goku was just entertaining himself with the creatures before defeating them, while the lieutenant tested her new powers. Although in 2 days one cannot learn everything about Ki, what she learned served her to not be a burden, giving the beasts several strong blows that knocked them down, and small Ki spheres that damaged them. She thought, I never believed I could face a hollow inside my Jige. I owe it all to Goku. But she got distracted, causing one of the creatures to give her a strong punch, sending her flying against a tree. She was about to be crushed by the same one, until she heard a cutting sound. Upon recovering, she could see how Goku split the creature in 2, without mercy, and then did the same with the last hollow. The Saiyan said serious, although he was surprised that he got so angry about it. None of you will harm Rangaku. Although he would do the same for any of his friends this time, he felt that his concern for the woman was different. The lieutenant thought with a slight blush, he just saved me and is angry that they hurt me. Could it be that he also feels strange just like me? After performing the kanso on the soul of the subject, the two were about to leave, but Goku would not take his eyes off a tree, which was strange to the Shinigami. She asked, preparing to fight. What happens, Goku? Do you feel more of them? The son said, approaching the tree. It is not that. It is something else. Listen. You should introduce yourself, and stop following us. It is a little annoying. Rangaku was confused when he talked to that tree, but she was surprised when she saw the cat of Urahara jumping into the arms of Goku. The cat asked, how did you know I was following you? The black-haired one said, That form disguises your power quite well, but not everything. And that is why I felt you. The cat said. I see. In that case, since you discovered me, I think the correct thing would be to introduce myself. Upon saying this, the small cat began to glow until it exploded in a cloud of smoke, and when it cleared, Goku was now carrying a girl in his arms. She had dark skin, yellow eyes, and purple hair, and had a mischievous smile waiting for the reaction of the sun. She said, revealing her name to him at last. I am Yuruchi, the Saiyan said, smiling. Well, so that is your true form and power. Nice to meet you, Yuruchi. I am Goku, she thought while looking fixedly at the Saiyan. While Urahara was right, he is very innocent. He does not react to my appearance. But I do not care, although it would have been more fun if he jumped from the scare. Looking at him more closely, she now understood why the lieutenant turned red in his presence. And speaking of the lieutenant, she was looking at the scene with a fake smile, arching an eyebrow, trying to hide the fact that she was a little jealous. Because of this, she approached them and took Goku by the arm, saying, Rangaku said, pulling the clothes of Goku to try to distance him from the cat woman. Nice to meet you, Yuruchi. But I think you should not be so bold with Goku. Besides, we have to return to school. Yuruchi thought, getting down from the arms of the Saiyan. It seems someone is jealous. I can have fun with that. But since I am here, I have to ask him that. With great speed, she dressed in a shirt and black pants along with an orange jacket, and tied her hair in a ponytail. Yuruchi said, Before you go, I have to ask you something, son Goku. Goku said with a smile. What do you need, Yuruchi? She said calmly, because she thought the ex-captain was just exaggerating. Like Urahara, I want to see that Super Saiyan thing, and I wish to see your strength. Let us have a fight in 2 weeks. The Saiyan shouted with joy, because he would finally fight with someone from that world. Really? And as an involuntary reflex, he hugged the woman tightly, allowing her to feel the muscles of the Saiyan besides having him very close to her. The cat woman thought, somewhat blushed. Wow, he looks quite handsome, but I wonder if what he has in appearance he has in strength. Meanwhile, the lieutenant just had a vein in her head from the events. She said, already composed from the hug. I will take that reaction as a yes. See you on Saturday after school. The cheerful Saiyan said. I will wait for it eagerly, Yuruchi. Rangaku said, trying to drag the Saiyan by his clothes, but he was too heavy. Well, enough of this. Goku, we must return to school now. Goku said, hugging the lieutenant, making her red, while he executed the teleportation, leaving a surprised Yuruchi, who was seeing that technique so close for the first time. He. I am sorry, Rangaku. It is just that I got excited about the idea of a fight. We are leaving now. Goodbye. The shop of Urahara at night. It was a long day for everyone, but satisfying at the same time. Gohan and Rukia met new friends at school, and they would strive so that they would not feel more pain from the loss of their old friend. Meanwhile, Rangaku used all her free minutes to get to know the older son more, beginning to believe that she had fallen in love at first sight, but she was still not sure. While everyone ate, they had one more guest, who was Yuruchi in her human form. She said that since she was discovered, it no longer made sense to hide in that cat form. Urahara just laughed nervously, because the cat woman sat very close to Goku, causing the lieutenant to bring him closer to her. But that did not stop Yuruchi, who kept approaching, ending with the two women in a stare down. Urahara asked, Do any of you see the lightning? He saw how sparks came out of the gazes of the women, and all those present nodded with sweat drops. This fun moment was interrupted when the phone of Rukia rang, and Gohan began to feel how the power of Tatsuki and Oraheim in the distance was diminishing. The small Shinigami said, Hollows. They are in 2 separate places. We will have to split up, he said. Rukia, get on my back to go faster. I feel that Oraheim and Tatsuki have problems, and I also feel a hollow near them, she said. Agreed. Let us go. She did as requested, hugging the neck of the boy, which in a certain way she liked to do. The lieutenant said, taking the older son by the collar, ready for teleportation. Goku and I will go for the others. With everything said, the 4 dispersed through the city. While Gohan went through the air, he managed to see an injured Tatsuki on the ground, and a very confused Oraheim, who approached a hollow with an antenna, where the body of a young man with orange hair hung, saying things to her. Before she could respond, Gohan descended to the ground, quickly leaving Rukia, and immediately took the boy by the legs, and began to spin him until slamming him against the ground, revealing the hollow completely. It had to lack a better description, the body of a giant hamster, wearing a mask with a creepy smile. It in turn was accompanied by the same antenna, where it had the boy that he slammed. A shocked Oraheim asked by the sudden appearance of the young man, Gohan, what are you doing here? Why did you do that to Kurosaki? The son said, pulling out his Zanpakuto. That was not the person you knew. It is part of a hollow now. Rukia said, checking Tatsuki and verifying that she was just hurt a little, but had no internal damage of any kind. That is the Grand Fissure, a high-level hollow. It always attracts its victims with its antenna that takes the form of the people it kills. It seems that this Ichigo did not die in a normal way, the hollow said, clearly annoyed by what happened. Wow, I feel flattered that the Shinigami know me. Too bad you will not live long enough for interrupting my dinner, the Saiyan said, angry at the evil of this monster. The only one who will not get out alive is you. How dare you use the bodies of the loved ones of the people as bait, the Fissure said, laughing. What does it matter? Just die. He launched himself against the sun, but could not do any damage to him. Its front legs were stopped by the Zanpakuto. It tried to use its antenna as a weapon, but it was stopped with one hand to then be thrown with force, and with the same force from a while ago slammed the creature against the ground, causing damage throughout the street. Orihime could not believe that the friendly boy she met today was facing a creature that, according to what she heard from Rukia, used the bodies it killed to attract prey. Since the death of Ichigo, she swore that she began to see spirits, and now she could confirm it. She asked, trying to get answers. Rukia, what is happening? What is that thing that Gohan is fighting against? But the only thing that happened was that the mentioned one took out a strange object from her clothes, that was a tube that at the end finished in a duck with a hat. Rukia said, pressing a button making the head of the duck jump, shooting smoke, leaving Orihime unconscious. I still do not think you are ready to know what there is in this world. With Gohan, the Saiyan kept humiliating the Grand Fissure, giving him multiple cuts and blows, leaving him in a deplorable state. And no matter how much it tried to use the baits, none worked, because, as Rukia said, they were only corpses. The hollow said, trying to escape between the buildings, but it was knocked down by a blow from the sun. No, this is not happening to me. I am the Grand Fissure. And to top it off, Rukia from the ground connected a strong kick to his back. The Shinigami thought, this training made me stronger. I already want to see the face of my brother when I show him what I have achieved in this time. When she returned to the Soul Society in 3 years, the first thing she would do would be to show her new talents. The Fissure stood up very slowly, so it was impossible for him to escape the diving attack of Gohan with his sword that cut his antenna without any problem, which caused a very strong scream of pain. The Grand Fissure shouted, extremely angry and scared. My antenna. Damn Shinigami. The annoyed son said. That was for using the feelings of Orihime to satisfy your hunger. Suddenly the atmosphere felt heavy, and the hollow felt how the spiritual pressure of the young man was crushing him, while he concentrated ki and Ryatsu in his sword. Gohan said, launching a blue energy arc in the shape of a half moon that split the immobile hollow in half, ending his life. And this is for all those you killed, Rukia said, smiling, because finally the most evil hollow registered up to that moment was exterminated. Now all those he killed can rest in peace, the son said, pointing at the unconscious girls. Good. But what do we do with them now? She said, showing the object with which she did it. Easy. We will take them to their houses, and do not worry. They will not remember anything tomorrow. I myself modified their memories, Gohan said, fascinated. Wow, it is impressive. Hours later, and everyone already in their beds, a figure that was not visible in the night looked towards the shop and the house of the sons with an arrogant smile full of evil. The subject said, disappearing into the darkness of the night. These guys can be an obstacle, but I just have to modify some things and everything will turn out just as I planned. 2 weeks later at Kirakura Academy. It was another normal day at the academy for the young Gohan and his best friend Rukia, although there was something they did not notice, and it was that someone was watching them from the distance with a serious face that showed anger. Besides this, Chad, Orihime, and Tatsuki also became more friends with the young Saiyan, and for some reason Rukia was annoyed by the closeness of the girls with the son. But during this week the friends of Gohan behind his back agreed to follow him to his house, because everyone suspected that Rukia, teacher, Matsumoto, and Goku were not humans due to several things that happened weeks ago. Flashback of Chad 10 days ago. The friends of Chad had gathered in a construction site to talk about a strange canary that according to many was cursed. Chad decided to take care of it, and after that a metal beam fell on him that hurt him but did not kill him. During the following days more accidents happened to him, until at one point the bird spoke to him telling him that someone was chasing him. After that, one day in the afternoon after school, Chad received a blow from an invisible force that attacked him. Upon getting up with wounds, he saw a creature with beast form, wearing a mask, trying to kill the little bird. With pure blows he tried to defeat it, but it was useless. He thought he was going to die trying to defend his small friend, but to his fortune he was saved by a woman. The woman who saved him was his teacher Rengoku, who wore a black kimono accompanied by a sword. She quickly caused serious damage to the creature, which managed to escape. Frustrated, she only addressed him and the bird. With her sword she caused the bird to shine, and before disappearing it thanked Chad for protecting it from the hollow. He thought it was all a bad dream if not for a conversation he heard between Rengoku and Goku. The latter wore a black kimono along with a giant sword. The Saiyan asked, "What is that thing that you and Rukia use with the people who saw you?" The lieutenant answered, "A device that puts other memories in place of the original ones, although it is not so effective with people who have strong latent spiritual power." The son said with a smile, "Well, I think Chad could remember them. I have felt that he has a lot of dormant power." And that was what made the young man think about everything that happened. End of flashback. Chad thought. With that I was able to verify that what Orihime said days ago was not a tale. Gohan, and his father as well as Rukia, and the teacher know something about those creatures. Besides, I want to know what happened to the soul of the boy who was in that canary. Orihime thought, remembering what happened last week. Surely Chad also had a bad experience with those creatures. I think it went worse for him than for us. Flashback of Orihime. After what happened with the Grand Fisher, the poor girl thought it was all just a dream. However, since that day she began to see ghosts with greater clarity, just like her friend. Neither knew that this had to do with the fact that by being hit by a hollow now they could see the spiritual world. But the point where they could confirm that everything was real was when one day they gathered at the house of Orihime, and after she told the story of her dead brother, a great hollow with snake form entered her house and tried to kill her, but Tatsuki managed to make it retreat so she could escape. Already in the street, the hollow held the head of Tatsuki strongly with its arms, while looking at its victim, with rage ready to kill her, but to the fortune of both, a red sphere hit the mask of the creature, freeing the person it had prisoner. Both retreated, and then they could see like the last time Gohan and Rukia, but there was something different. The small girl wore a black kimono, and the sword of the sun was covered in bandages that upon coming off revealed a new weapon, a black sword with the shape of a butcher knife. In seconds the sun finished with a hollow as if nothing. And like the previous time, Rukia changed their memories, and the reason they remembered that was because of a conversation they heard from Gohan with a purple-haired woman. The son asked, "Is it necessary to erase their memories always?" The woman answered, "Yes, some are not ready to know about the hollows or the Shinigami like you." End of flashback. Tatsuki said, who was the one who had the idea, "It is agreed. When classes finish we will follow Gohan to his house and discover what he is and what connection he has with those creatures." Orihime said, playing with her fingers, and with a blush, "I do not know, Tatsuki. I am not sure." Chad asked, "What is the problem?" The orange-haired girl said, causing a sweat drop from the boy, "It is that if they see us they will think we are stalkers." Tatsuki answered, very sure of herself, "Calm down. It is not stalking. Besides, they will only think that if they see us, we will be discreet to avoid those misunderstandings." Orihime said with more spirit, "Well, now we just have to wait." While they talked, the Saiyans conversed with their respective Shinigami. Rukia, upon spending so much time with the son of Goku, began to leave behind her serious personality, passing to a more animated one, and only leaving her serious side when it was about hollows. But what she still did not understand was why, every time she was with Gohan, and he smiled at her, or worried about her well-being, she would blush, and her heart would beat strongly. She thought with a red face, imagining herself and Gohan flying towards the night sky. Could it be that I am falling in love? It could be. I have never felt this for someone, and when I ask they answer me that what I feel is love. The only difference is that everything she imagined was equal to her ugly drawings. Rangaku. Every time she was with Goku she was happier than usual, always laughing and training. However, she wanted to verify his character one night, but great was her surprise to notice that the son looked at her with total naturalness, confirming that besides being an extremely kind being he was also innocent. But this she loved. Also, after the introduction of Yoruichi, Matsumoto took the habit of hugging one of the arms of Goku when the cat woman was near, although that did not drive her away, and the black-haired one always had to stop their arguments. The lieutenant thought, "I am sure that I fell in love with the right person who appreciates me for what I really am. I will not let that cat take him from me." She was imagining a romantic night with Goku. Goku said to the woman who walked by his side in the school hallway, "Rangaku, are you feeling well? You seem flustered," she said, surprised and trying to hide it, covering her face. What? I am sorry, Goku. It is just that I was lost in my thoughts," the son said, giving her a smile making her blush. Well, if you are fine then I am happy," Rangaku said, stuttering and with a red face. "Thank you, Goku, for worrying," he said, bumping his fists. "You are welcome. By the way, are you ready for the fight of today?" the lieutenant said, very sure of the defeat of Yoruchi. Yes, that cat has nothing to do against you, the son said. Do not be like that, Rangaku. Surely Yoruchi has incredible techniques to show me, she said. If you say so. Anyway, see you at the exit. She said goodbye to him with a kiss on the cheek. Goku thought without understanding that just like the lieutenant, he felt love for the first time in his life. I still do not know what this is that I feel when I am with her. She is very carefree and cheerful like me, but she also strives in training. What is it that I am feeling? Later that day, the Saiyans and the Shinigami had everything ready, and left the school walking towards the shop of Urahara without noticing that they were being followed by 3 young people in the distance. At the shop of Urahara, the ex-captain was outside getting air while he waited for the fight between his old friend and the son to begin, but he also could not get out of his head the presence he felt weeks ago. He thought that presence was very similar to that of a captain from the Soul Society, but it is not from here. But he was pulled from his thoughts upon the arrival of the girls and the sons. Goku asked curiously, "Hello Urahara, what are you doing?" The ex-captain said with his typical cheerful and joking tone. "Whoa, it is nothing, friend Goku. I am just thinking about life things while I waited for your return. Yoruchi is impatient below," the son said, entering his house, while the rest entered the shop. Agreed. Just let me change my doji and I will go. While this happened, Tatsuki, Orihime, and Chad managed to reach the place where they could see the shop of Urahara, a strange device with spaceship shape, and a circular house which was very striking for them. Tatsuki asked herself mentally, and since when do they make houses like that? Besides, what is that thing that looks like a ship? She quickly came out of her thoughts to hide, when she saw Goku with his orange doji leaving the circular house to enter the shop. Orihime asked, "What do we do now, Tatsuki?" Tatsuki answered, "We are going to follow him, and get to the bottom of this mystery." Because of this her companions just nodded. Discreetly they opened the shop door, but upon entering they could not see where Goku went, so they began to check all the corners of the shop without success, until Orihime in a small stumble noticed that a part of the floor was raised as if something was hidden. The orange-haired girl said, showing her companions a false floor that led to what looked like a basement. "Guys, I found something." Great was their surprise when upon entering they found themselves in a gigantic rocky desert, which left them in shock to see what was under that shop. They had no time to think anything else, because they quickly hid among the rocks to see better what was happening. In front of them in the distance were their friends and teachers along with other unknown people. Rangaku and Rukia wore their uniforms of Shinigami. Gohan wore the doji of his mentor Piccolo, and Goku was stretching his muscles with his orange doji, while a purple-haired woman looked at him. The young spies asked themselves the countless questions. Why do they wear such strange clothes? What is this place? What are they doing on the battlefield? Both Goku and Yoruchi finished warming up, and just waited for Urahara to give start to the fight. The cat woman said with a serious face to the ex-captain, "Before starting, Urahara, if the fight becomes more intense, I want you to release my powers." He asked, "Are you sure? You cannot control it?" The woman said with a smile, "I know, but I have the feeling that he can help me with that problem." The spectators were already waiting. Gohan remained calm beside Rukia, who was blushed from the closeness of the young man, while Rangaku cheered Goku with much enthusiasm besides taking care of the Zanpakuto of the Saiyan. Yoruchi said with a smile and in fighting pose, "Ready, Goku?" The son said, putting himself in the turtle pose. "Whenever you want, I am ready." Urahara said, lowering his fan, and in signal of start. "Good. In that case, begin." Yoruchi did not waste her time, and used her shunpo to connect a direct blow to the face of the Saiyan, but she was surprised to realize that he had stopped her fist and had not moved a single centimeter. The woman thought, "But how? If I used my shunpo, he should not have seen me coming." She could not free herself from the grip until the Saiyan decided to launch her towards some rocks, but halfway she managed to recover her stability, landing on 4 legs, and in the position of a cat when it has prey in its sights. Quickly she launched herself against him with the same speed, giving him a series of punches and kicks that he dodged or blocked as if it were a game. Yoruchi thought, still impacted, that Goku surpassed her speed. "If the next thing does not affect him, I will have to take the fight more seriously." She retreated several steps back through somersaults, and began to use her shunpo many times around her opponent to confuse him and give him several blows. When she managed to form a tornado with her speed, she thought it was the moment, but she received a hard blow to the chest from the sun, while she continued using her flash step. That blow was such that it took the air out of her, and made her crash against the rocks. Goku asked, worried about the condition of his opponent, "Oops, I hope I did not go overboard with that blow." Are you well, Yuruchi? From among the rubble the woman rose with some great damage, but in a certain way she was enthusiastic, because she could fight with all her power without worrying about hurting someone. Yuruchi shouted, removing her orange vest. Yes, I am well, but I hope you are ready for the second round. Shunko. She was left with a black sleeveless shirt and began to generate electricity around her body, elevating her power. The sun thought, wow, those lightning bolts remind me of Super Saiyan 2. But I still feel that she hides more power. I am getting excited. Upon seeing such a beautiful warrior giving it her all in combat, with Chad and the girls, a shocked Tatsuki thought, but what the hell are these guys and what is that energy that woman is releasing? Because of the overwhelming power display she was witnessing. She knew her gym teacher was strong, but not at that level. More so, she was very sure that he was not human, just like the woman. Orihime thought, seeing the possibility that the young black-haired boy could also have the same strength as his father. Will Gohan be the same as his father? Chad thought. The truth is, I do not know what to think, but I want to see how this ends to then try to ask, unless they erase our memory again. But inside he wanted to know if one could obtain similar strength to fight against hollows. Returning to the fight, Yuruchi launched herself against Goku at great speed. Her speed and strength increased too much, but she was still not at the level of the sun, who just stopped the blows, but upon doing so he could feel the electricity run through his body. Because of this he preferred to dodge those blows. Everything continued until the Saiyan connected a kick to her ribs, sending her flying, but her opponent did not give up, and stood up quickly. She said, I see that I am still not at your level. Then Urahara, it is time. With that said, Urahara did something that began to awaken the maximum power of Yuruchi. Her whole body was covered in electricity, until it took the form of the limbs of a cat. A series of white electric gloves with claws formed around her arms. Her legs did the same, and finally some ears and tail of energy were created to finish her transformation. She shouted, putting herself on 4 legs, ready for the final assault. Shunshin Chihinjin. What she did not calculate is that the use of that form made her lose control. The sun thought, worried that Yuruchi would hurt herself, or that she would hurt others. Now her energy grew a lot, almost to the level of Raditz, maybe more, but her power became unstable. I have to make her recover consciousness. Yuruchi roared, managing to catch the Saiyan with his guard down, giving him a blow to the face to then begin to launch multiple electric scratches that destroyed his clothes. Finally she delivered a kick that sent him to the other end of the battlefield. With the sun supposedly defeated now, Yuruchi centered her sight towards the spectators. Urahara was prepared to deactivate the transformation. The Shinigami had their hands near their Zanpakuto. Gohan did nothing, and the boys who were spying tensed upon seeing that the cat woman had her sight fixed right on them. Tatsuki thought, alarmed, while Orihime hugged her from the scare upon seeing those intimidating eyes. She discovered us. Chad, on the other hand, although he was also scared, would not show it and was willing to defend his friends even if that meant being torn to pieces by Yuruchi. The Catwoman used her shunpo, passing by the spectators, confusing them, but they realized that she was heading towards the hidden young people, which left the Shinigami surprised. The Shinigami thought, preparing to stop the out-of-control Yuruchi if not for a flash of light that passed over them, stopping them in their tracks. What are they doing here? Did they follow us? Yuruchi, walking like a cat stalking its prey, approached the young people. Both Chad and Tatsuki were in fighting position to protect Orihime, who could not move from the scare. The young people prepared for the attack that never came, and they only felt a strong current of air pass over them. Upon opening their eyes, everyone saw how Goku stopped the hands of the woman, immobilizing her. The sun asked, still holding back an enraged Yuruchi. Guys, are you well? Orihime said with stutters from the impression of the moment. Yes, Goku-sensei. While Yuruchi kept struggling, she could not notice in time that Goku freed one of his hands to give her a slap that lifted her a few centimeters. React, Yuruchi. You are not a wild animal. Upon saying these words, added to another slap, the woman began to hold her head strongly as if she were recovering consciousness. The sun said, changing his serious face to his always warm smile. You are the most incredible woman with whom I have had the pleasure to fight. Yuruchi began to say with a slight blush, while her lightning stopped being unstable, stabilizing, having complete control of that transformation, that for a long time Urahara was the only one who could turn off, but now she had control. Goku, with Urahara and the rest. The ex-captain thought, happy for his friend, while the rest were just surprised by the events. Yuruchi was right. Son Goku helped her control the Shunshin Chihinjin. Goku said while he prepared. Urahara, you wanted to see my true power. Well, now I will demonstrate it to you. Chad and the rest of the present thought expectantly. What will Mr. Goku do now? Goku began to shout while strong winds formed around him. His aura changed to a golden one. His eyes turned a green color, and his hair stood up becoming blonde. Urahara and Rukia thought without being able to believe what they were seeing and feeling. What power! Not even the Zero Squad, or the Soul King would equal that power. Rangaku and Yoruchi thought with notable blushes. Now he not only looks stronger, but more handsome. The students thought before the power demonstration. Definitely the teacher is not a human being. Goku said, "This is the Super Saiyan Phase 1. It multiplies my base power by 50. Urahara asked, "Gohan, can you do the same?" Gohan said, "That is right, Mr. Urahara, and also." Gohan did not finish, because his father began to elevate his power again, making the whole place tremble, including the entire city. Lightning began to cover his aura. His hair bristled more, leaving only a strand that stood out. Goku explained, "This is the Super Saiyan Phase 2. It multiplies the power of the first transformation by 2. Yoruchi thought, knowing that she would be annihilated if she faced the sun in that state. "I could not defeat him even if I used the intelligence of Urahara, or one of his inventions. There is only one thing I can do," the Catwoman said with firm voice, deactivating her transformation, and putting herself near Goku. "I surrender." The sun asked, "What? Why?" Yoruchi said, looking at the people who had spied on them the whole time. "For 2 very good reasons. The first, I cannot defeat you even with all my power. And the second, it is that we have to decide what to do with these kids." In the basement of the shop of Urahara after the fight between the ex-Shinigami Yoruchi and the older son, everyone looked analytically at the young people who discovered them. Urahara, Rukia, and Rangaku murmured about what to do with them, although the lieutenant was not paying much attention because she was only concentrating on seeing how Yoruchi was attached very close to Goku under the excuse of being very tired, and that she needed to lean on someone. The lieutenant thought with a vein in her head, "I will not stay behind Cat. I also want to be with him." Rukia proposed in a low voice, "I say we erase their memory again." Urahara said with much reason in his words, "I do not think so. As I told you, these kids have strong spiritual power. If we erase them, it will not take them long to recover them. Besides, since they were already hit by a hollow, they can see behind the camouflage of the suns." While they debated, Gohan told his classmates a little of his history, which was not to be believed, but with what they saw they were willing to believe whatever. The most surprised were the girls, and although Chad did not show it, he was extremely surprised by the origin of the suns. Orihime asked with difficulty to process that information. "So you are saying that your father is an extraterrestrial from an almost extinct warrior race? He was raised by an old man who died time after. Because of that he went out on adventures, fighting against criminal groups and demons until marrying and having you," Gohan said, scratching the back of his neck, just like his father. "Well, yes. It is the truth, Orihime," Tatsuki said, recovering from the impression. "If it were not for what we saw of your father, we would not have believed you." Chad asked, "But why did we never notice all those things?" The son said, preparing to tell them from his Uncle Raditz until his arrival to this world. "Well, that is a long story, but I am going to tell you." While he told them that Yoruchi lay on the shoulder of Goku, because according to her she would not fall. But the truth is that since she saw him for the first time since his arrival, she wanted to know him, and now that she discovered that he was a noble person, and good-hearted who helped her control her power, she was more interested in knowing him. She said, calling his attention. "Hey Goku," the son asked. "What happens, Yoruchi?" The Catwoman said with an excuse to spend time with this man, who began to call her attention. "First, just call me Yoruchi without the Chan. And second, I wanted to know if you help me train to be able to use my transformation better," the son said with a warm smile. "Of course, Yoruchi. You can accompany me and Rangaku in the training for the use of ki. There I can help you." For some reason, knowing that she would have to share time with the lieutenant put the Catwoman in a bad mood. But she said nothing to not create an uproar. But she was very sure that she would strive to surpass Rangaku, who with ki control already could face her if she did not keep training. Yoruchi said, changing her calm face to a serious one, looking at the friends of Gohan. "Agreed. We can start tomorrow. Now we have a pending matter." "With Urahara?" Rukia asked. "Are you completely sure of this?" The ex-captain said, sure of his decision. "Quite sure. It makes no sense to hide it from them. Besides, what they do after is their matter, although eventually they will want to train in their time." Rangaku said, sighing heavily from having to tell the story of the Shinigami. "Well, then it will be better to tell them the whole story. It will be a long day." With Gohan, Tatsuki asked, "So you and your father are from another dimension, and arrived here thanks to those spheres that grant wishes?" The son answered, "That is right. Shortly after that we met Rukia and Rangaku." Chad asked, intrigued, "Do those spheres grant any wish?" He said, "Well, Only those that are within its power. For example, it cannot revive people who died from natural causes, or illnesses, or who have been dead for more than a year. Orihime said with enthusiasm, although also somewhat sad, because she thought that if Gohan ever returned he could ask to revive her brother. While that sounds incredible, Chad said, seeing how the Shinigami approached. It seems they already decided what to do with us now. Of all those present, Urahara took a step forward to explain the situation, while the lieutenant approached, and took the other free arm of Goku to the annoyance of Yaruchi, while Rukia approached to be very close to Gohan, making the rest of the friends of the Saiyan feel a little jealous. The ex-captain said with a tired voice, "Well guys, I hope you do not have plans tonight, because explaining everything to you will take me a very long time." In this way Urahara began to tell them everything about the Soul Society, where the spirits that the Soul Reapers rescued from the Hollows went. Before speaking of that, he decided to tell how things worked in the Sriti. From the 13 squads, the lieutenants, the captains, their laws, powers, and even the noble houses. This surprised the young people, and with the description he gave them, they could only think of the feudal age of nobility. Although the Shinigami could have current technology, their customs and laws were very primitive and radical. Tatsuki asked, "And you? What rank would you be?" Urahara said, "The purple-haired woman who hugs Mr. Goku and I are ex-captains." Rukia added, "I am an aspiring lieutenant and my teacher Matsumoto is already a lieutenant." Chad asked, "And Goku and Gohan?" Rangaku said, contributing something to the conversation. "They are a special case that can bring us problems in the future. They are substitute Shinigami." Orihime asked, "If those are the Shinigami, what are those creatures called hollows?" Rukia said, taking out a pencil and notebook for her explanation. "I will explain to you about them." Rangaku thought with an anime-style sweat drop, remembering the drawing form of her apprentice. Oh no. She will do it again. Rukia began to tell them about the hollows, from how they are created through plus souls either destroying their chains of destiny, or dragging them to Hueco Mundo. The evolutionary stages of this being the most powerful hollows, the Vosto Lord's level, among many more details. Everyone had sweat drops from the situation. Although her verbal explanation was very good, her representation in drawings was a disaster, because she represented everything as her favorite pet, Chappie the rabbit, of which she was very obsessed with. Tatsuki asked, "It is fine. We understand, but is it necessary that you draw so ugly?" And as response, an offended Rukia drew her a mustache in a very childish form, something unusual in someone of her character. Finally they were told the rest of the story of the Saiyans passing through Frieza and Perfect Cell. Still no one could believe that they could destroy the planet as if nothing. Now the kids had to process years of information in little time to know what to do. Chad said calmly, "This is incredible." Urahara asked with his face behind his fan with a somber and analytical look. "Well, you cannot tell any of this to your friends. But my question is, what will you do now that you know this?" The young people were left speechless because they never thought about what to do with that information. Chad had intentions of asking Goku to train him, because after not being able to do anything to defend that little bird, he told himself that he would not let the hollows hurt his friends. Tatsuki had a similar idea to the one of the young man. After realizing that those creatures killed her friend Ichigo, she did not want something similar to happen to Orihime. For her part, Orihime was not sure, because she did not like to fight, but she did not want to always depend on others, so perhaps she would train a little just to know how to defend herself. Tatsuki asked, "What are the options?" Yaruchi said, "Well, you can leave here pretending nothing happened, or you can be trained to combat the hollows if they threaten your lives." No one knew what to say until Chad took a step forward, putting himself near Goku. Chad asked, bowing his head, "Mr. Goku, I ask you please to train me." Goku said, expectant of the response, "I have no problems, but I would like to know your motivation." Chad answered, "I want to be strong to protect my friends." Tatsuki said, "I also wish the same for the same reasons." Goku said with a smile, "I see that you have a great spirit and a very good cause to strengthen. I accept you as my apprentices, but first you will have to release your spiritual power to then pass to Ki." Tatsuki said respectfully, "Thank you, Goku-sensei." While this happened, Gohan and Rukia approached Orihime, who still had not decided what to do. Gohan said with the smile of his family, causing a blush in the girl, and a jealous face from the Shinigami. "Do not worry, Orihime. If something happens I will help you," she said, still blushed. "Thank you, Gohan. But I do not want to be a burden for everyone. I want to help in some way." The son said, "I know. If fighting is not your thing, you could learn medical Kido from Rukia and Rangaku." The small Shinigami asked, "Wait, remember that I do not know almost anything. Besides, why do the lieutenant and I have to train her?" Gohan said, making puppy eyes. that the girl could not resist and she agreed to train her. Please Rukia, Urahara said. Well guys, wait a few days. We have to organize how the training will be. Tatsuki said, leaving with the rest of her companions, leaving only the Shinigami and the sons. Agreed. Then goodbye. We appreciate that you told us this. Do not worry. We will strive to train. 3 days later. Many things happened in just 3 days. Yoruichi managed to find the way to be closer to Goku by infiltrating the school to better know this man who helped her. This made her very happy and left Rangaku extremely jealous, who on more than one occasion had a verbal battle, while they fought for the attention of the son. All the male students felt envy of their teacher for having 2 beautiful women fighting for his affection. Goku still did not know it, but he was beginning to feel a strange feeling when he trained, or spent time with them, and when he consulted it with his good friend Urahara, he told him that what he felt was love, something that he had not felt despite having been married. With Gohan, well, he had an equal situation, because every day he enjoyed more the company of Rukia for being a girl with a bad character, but fun, and strong. This caused the small Shinigami like her teacher to take the habit of clinging to the arm of the Saiyan, which caused jealousy in the female population, especially from Tatsuki and Orihime, who with time also began to have certain interest in the boy. At the end of classes that day, Goku told the kids that today their training began. They got excited and went with him to the training place of Urahara, where he created replicas of the dojos of Goku for the kids to use in training. Already on the training field, Goku explained to them that before training with them they had to release their spiritual powers. Chad and Urahara would train, while all the girls gathered to train. He said, well, if you excuse me Gohan, and I will train in the gravity chamber with our Zanpakuto. If something happens outside we will take care of it so you can train with tranquility. Rangaku said goodbye with a wink. Thank you Goku. See you later. Meanwhile, in an unknown place, in the interior of a cave in the middle of a desert, noises of metal clashing against metal could be heard. While this happened, a deer-like figure with white mask escaped from that cave opening, a kind of black hole that upon entering it disappeared. A female voice said, coming from the cave, wait Apexy, there is no more danger. From the interior came out a feminine figure, with a body completely covered by a white and blue armor that covered her completely. In one of her arms extended what looked like the tooth of a giant shark that she used as a sword. Her mouth was covered by a mask in the shape of sharp teeth, and a kind of hair extension in the shape of a fin and shark tail. She had a serious look with those green eyes, and her wild blonde hair made her look more intimidating. A huge white snake that also had a female voice asked, Lady Harabel, what happens? She said, my fight with that guy scared her, and it seems that she went through a garganta to the human world. A lioness with coffee-colored skin and a golden lion mask said, the human world, but the Shinigami will kill her. Harabel said, opening a garganta to follow her companion. With more reason we have to look for her. I will not allow them to kill her. 1 hour before this, at the shop of Urahara, the ex-captain was training the young Chad in a brutal way, putting him in a dangerous situation, so that he would release his power. And although at times it seemed he would achieve it, nothing happened, but both apprentice and teacher would not give up. And the girls divided into groups. Orihime would train medical Kido with Rukia and Rangaku, while Tatsuki trained physical combat with Yoruichi. All training in different places, but having similar chats. With Yoruichi, the Catwoman who only wore her black training clothes dedicated herself to dodging the blows of the black-haired girl with great ease. Yoruichi said with her eyes closed and an arrogant smile, come on, you are very impulsive, and because of that you cannot give me any blow. You have to be very concentrated and centered like me. Tatsuki thought with a mischievous smile. So concentration, then I know the way to take it from you. Tatsuki said with a small laugh. Hey Yoruichi-sensei, you did not find out. The gym boys said that Rangaku-sensei was kissing Mr. Goku on the lips. Those words left the Catwoman pale, who for a second believed it until she felt a small blow delivered by Tatsuki, because of which she understood that she invented that to distract her. Although she could not avoid blushing because everyone already realized what she felt, Yoruichi ended the training, grabbing the hand with which she was hit and slammed the girl against the ground, leaving her hurt. She said, rest. Enough warm up. In a while I will teach you everything I can so that you use Ryatsu to power up your blows. Tatsuki said with a tired voice. Agreed Yoruichi-sensei. Yoruichi said by way of revenge for the trick. And by the way, the other night I saw Rukia kissing Gohan. The black-haired girl shouted, alarmed. What? Yoruichi said to a blushed Tatsuki. Calm down. That did not happen. Yet, but it is clear that she and Orihime are in love. You should discuss it. The black-haired girl answered, being the turn of the Catwoman to blush. And you with Rangaku-sensei, because it is clear that both of you are in love with Mr. Goku. With the other girls, they sneezed at the same time, knowing that someone must have been talking about them. Achoo. No matter how much the Shinigami explained to the orange-haired girl, she did not seem to understand the Kido procedures, something that did not surprise them, because in itself it is difficult to learn medical Kido, and they only knew the definition, but not how to do it. During the whole training, Rangaku was called attention by the hairpin of Orihime in the shape of a snowflake, because it radiated a strange type of power, but she did not pay attention to that. Rukia said, sighing from tiredness. Enough for now. Orihime said, this is tiring. The lieutenant said comically with a hand on her mouth, and hitting Orihime with her elbow. Look at it this way, girl. If you strive, I can assure you that you and Gohan will have a date. An angry Rukia and a blushed Orihime shouted. Rangaku. The lieutenant said between laughs. What happens, Rukia? She needs motivation. Besides, they never taught you that it is good to share. The small Shinigami laughed maliciously. In that case, I will tell Yoruichi that if she strives to the maximum training, Goku will have to have a date with her. Rangaku shouted with a vein of fury. Do not you dare, dwarf. Rukia continued. And now who is the one who does not want to share? When everything calmed down a little, the lieutenant sighed, saying to both, look, it is clear that both of you feel something for Gohan, but I am sure that you will have to share him, because being as he is, he would not want you to be sad for only one receiving his affection. You talk about that among yourselves, and I will do the same with Yoruichi. I do not think they would mind. With the sons, both inside the gravity chamber, trained hand to hand, but then they changed to the use of their weapons to keep improving, because that is something the girls would want, that they take the training and the work of the Shinigami seriously. Both were pulled from their training when they felt several hollow presences. Gohan said seriously, Father, did you feel that? Goku said, preparing to go after the presents. Yes, son. This power surpasses that of any hollow we have seen before.